Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to see what is serialization in Java programming. And I'm Kalepriya, working as an assistant professor in RMK College of Engineering and Technology. Now we go in deep with Java serialization. Java serialization is just a mechanism to convert an object into a byte stream. Why it is needed for conversion an object to a stream? Because when we wanted to traverse the data, it is not possible for us to traverse over the network or from one system to another system through or as an object, but you can do that with the help of conversion of an object to a byte stream. So by converting a byte stream, you can able to transport the data from one to another systems or over the network. It is used to persist an object or send it over a networks. So now we see what is meant by a serialization. Serialization is a process of converting an object state into a byte stream. See why it is being needed? It is needed only to traverse the files over the network. So, and of course, by doing this, we can save an object state of a file or a database or even over the network. We can maintain the object state by doing the serialization concept. So, why we go for a serialization? I already told you to preserve the state of an object, and you wanted to communicate over the distributed system. You can have a serialization and deserialization concept. So wanted some objects to navigate between different parts of our systems, distributed systems, and you wanted to store frequently used objects in a buffer. You call this a cache. Caching is temporary storage of a frequently used objects to improve the performance. Okay, so these are all the reasons why we are going for a serialization. So when you talk about serialization is just the conversions of a object state into a byte stream. So uh, you can do that with the help of an interface called a marker interface. Marker interface means an interface which has no methods. You call this a marker interface. You have number of interface. For example, when you talk about the abstract classes which does not have the method definitions, and you talk about an interface called uh, functional interface which contains only one method declarations. Similarly, in serialization, we use a concept called a marker interface which has no method declarations. Okay, and it will be present in a package called java.io, and serializable is a classes. So generally we used to have a java.util for the collection classes and all that. When you talk about serialization, conversion of object identities to its byte stream, you can go for a package called io. And when you wanted to convert the serialization, you have to provide with the serial version user identity number. What do you mean by that? Serialization um, serialization serial version UID is just a unique identifier which helps during deserialization. I tell you how it is. The Java compares the UID, that is user identity of the serialized object with the user identity of the classes which is present in the current Java virtual machines. If they matches, the current class is matches with the uh, serialized objects, then it will work with the deserializations. Otherwise it throws an exceptions. So once you converted a files to an object to a byte stream, That unique identifier is responsible for serializations, which helps you to check whether that particular classes we are going to deserialize. That can be done with the help of a Java virtual machines. Fine. So whenever you are serializing some particular classes, it has to be provided with a serial version UID. So you have a long values, one long. Okay. And there are two variables like string name and int id, and you created a constructor and you are assigning the values, this name to the current class variable name and this id to the current class id. That is, this dot name refers to the string name and this dot id refers to the string class id, and this is what name refers to here and id refers to here. Fine. Then what is the use of transient keyword? See, I just don't want one particular field to be serialized. Okay, so one particular field to be not to be serialized, I can go with the keyword called transient, which prevents the field from a serialization. Fine. So the same way here also I can use, but whenever I'm deserializing this id, I will have a null value because this particular id is preceded with a keyword called transient. It avoids the serialization. So if a field is preceded with a transient keyword, that particular field will be prevented by serialization. That's why the transient keyword is being used. So when we talk about serializable interface, we have to talk about what is serializable interface. I already told you it is a marker interface. And what is transient keyword? Transient keywords, I want one particular field to be not to be serialized. I can go with the transient keyword. When I deserialize, I will not have the values. I cannot encrypt because that particular field is not serialized because of the keyword transient. Fine. And there are four classes being used for serialization and deserialization. When you talk about serialization, file output stream and object output stream, these are all the two classes which is present in the um, byte streams. So when you talk about file output stream, it creates a file to store the serializable object, and the file will be created with an extension as .scr, for example, like this. And if you wanted to convert some particular object to a stream, so that can be done with the help of a object output stream. It converts the employee object to a byte stream and write it into the file. So this file output stream create a file with an extensions of ser, and object output stream converts the class into a particular stream and write it into the file. The same way that can be helpful for the deserialization. The file input stream the file the what is the file? Employee.scr is the file. So you can take this employee.scr as a file input stream, and you can convert the byte stream back into the employee object. In this way you can do the serialization and deserialization. There are four classes being involved from a byte stream. One is file output, then object output, then for deserialization, file input stream and object input stream. Fine. So we'll see with an example. I'll have a class called employee which implements the interface called serializable. Okay. Then I'll have a private static final. It should not be, the value should not change, and the data type is long and serial version UID. I'll declare this as 1L. So any value I can give, and it should be a static keyword, and it is limited to the class, so private access specifier. I'm giving here two variables. One is name, the other one is id. So I'm creating an constructor for assigning the values, and I'll have a method called toString is a method which helps you to display the output while deserialization. So I told you what I'm doing here. I'm just in a main method. I'm creating an object of a class employee. There are two values. One is with the name and the other one is with the ID. I'm passing the values also there. So for serialization, I'll be using two classes. One is file output stream and object output stream. So file output stream creates a file called employee.ser. Okay, and what I'm doing here, file output is an object of a file output stream that is been passed to this particular object output stream out. So the out will contains the employee.ser. Fine. So once what I'm doing here, what is this emp? Emp is an object of this particular class. This object is being serialized and it is passed to the file employee.ser. So with the help of a file output stream, I'm creating a file and I'm copying the file into a object output stream. So this particular object will write, the method being used is write object for serialization, which helps you to convert these objects. Emp is an object of the employee class here, converts the object and will pass into the object output stream. So the object output stream contains the serialized values of the data. Okay, and if any exceptions occur, I will put it in a try catch blocks to handle the exceptions. The same way, I'll have a deserialization in the so what are all the two classes? One is file input stream, the other one is object input stream. So from the file inputs, in which serialization file I wanted to deserialize, employee.ser. So employee.ser is being acts as a input for the file input stream, and that will be converted into the object by using in. So read object is a method which helps you to read the objects and converts, and what in which way it will converts as a employee class. Okay, so what is the output which I get is a John Doe and 101 while deserializing it. So there are different ways in which you can able to serialize and deserialize the um, objects. So in this video, we discussed what is mean by serialization, what is transient keyword, and what is marker interface. What are all the four classes being involved in serialization and deserialization, and what is the associated method which is used for serialization? Write object method. For deserialization, read object method is being used. So thank you.